Welcome to ESG Decoded, where we navigate the evolving landscape of environmental, social, and governance, ESG. Join me, Amanda Kuhl, Erika Schiller, and Anna Stablum as we explore the intersection of sustainability, innovation, and ethical leadership, the dynamic forces shaping our global economy. Welcome to ESG Decoded. I'm your host, Amanda Kuhl, and today I'm excited to be welcoming Valerie Tamburri and Marina Weichel from Treefolks. We're going to learn today about urban reforestation, the importance of this, and how it kind of in the urban environment and why it kind of differs from other reforestation projects, and also the connection with carbon credits. So I'm going to ask our guests just to introduce themselves so that you can hear their voices and get a little bit familiar with who each of them are. Valerie, do you mind going first and telling our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Amanda. Everybody, again, my name is Valerie Tamburri, and I'm the Director of Reforestation and Lead Arborist at Treefolks. I've been with the organization for 7 years now, last month, and I lead our reforestation team, planting floodplains within Central Texas in 7 different counties. It's planting a variety of trees, shrubs, and native grasses. And my work kind of started at Treefolks when we were doing disaster recovery along the Blanco River and also in Bastrop after the wildfires that occurred there. So, Treefolks has a big history with post-disaster, and this program that we are doing now is kind of more of like a pre-disaster, and we'll talk a bit more about that later.
Awesome. Thank you. Marina, will you mind sharing a little bit about yourself with our audience?
Of course. So my name is Marina Weichel. I am the Carbon Credit and GIS Coordinator here at Treefolks. I work with Valerie on the Reforestation team. I've been working with Treefolks for about 2 years, and they've been fantastic, especially since I'm Austin born and bred, raised here, have had family living here in Central Texas for, I think, 5 generations or something like that. So being able to do work that is, helping this area that is so important to me and my family it's extremely rewarding.
I did realize when I was reading through everyone's bios that we have 3 native Texans on this podcast.
Love Texas.
Texas women represent. Yeah,
exactly. Well, Valerie, will you tell us a little bit about Treefolks and its mission and what it's doing?
Sure. So Treefolks, we've been around since 1989. It started with a group of friends around a campfire on the winter solstice, the winter before. And they were really looking for ways to help reverse global warming back in the day. And they saw that, a lot of development was already happening in Austin. You can imagine now, too, if you know Austin, you know how much it's really grown in the last 20 years. But for people to be thinking about this back in 1989 is incredible. We've grown over the past 35 years and planted over 3 million trees so far and counting. We have several programs. So really our mission is to build community through planting and caring for trees. So a big aspect of it is connecting people from different communities, to get their neighbors, plant some trees. We have lots of volunteer events as well for tree plantings. And we give away lots of trees through our Neighborhoods program to Austin residents. And that's a partnership with the city of Austin and Austin Energy. Yeah, people can take trees home and plant them in their front or backyards. We do a lot of creek side restoration and a lot of volunteer events for that, where we plant seedlings on public land within the city of Austin. And we work with the Watershed Protection Department for that. And then so much. We also just started a native tree nursery about a year ago that has so many elements. We have lots of volunteers like collecting and donating native tree seeds to us to grow out in the nursery. So we just have very genetically adapted seeds to grow into trees in our nursery that are going to do great in Central Texas. And then we also have our floodplain reforestation program, which is what Marina and our other colleague Kayla Cormack. And so we work with private and public landowners on a larger scale for this program. We work in 7 counties, including Travis County, and then every surrounding county. And we work with landowners that own creeks or that own land along creeks or rivers that are not already forested and that are looking to add more shade, diversity, erosion control along their sections of waterway on their property. A very exciting element of that is that we generate carbon credits from these tree plantings, which I'm going to let Marina take that piece on.
Sounds good. Marina, you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, so I think that our program is really important when you think about the scheme of, the history of Texas and these areas that we're planting in. I don't know if the listeners know this, but out of the 3 biggest states in the United States, Alaska is 95% public land, California is 49% public land, and then Texas is only about 4% public land. So I think that our program is kind of unique in that we are really trying to address that 96%. And so we will work with private landowners throughout Central Texas because they are such an essential role in, but in addressing climate change. We can't do it in Texas without working with private landowners. And the mechanism that we have figured out how to do this through is through this Central Texas Floodplain Reforestation program, like Val was talking about before. We'll come out, we'll plant, somewhere between 400 and 1,000 saplings, native saplings an acre, totally free of charge to these landowners. We'll plant them really, really densely. We're working in these really sensitive ecological areas, creeks and streams within the 100-year floodplain and the abutting areas, the riparian areas, which allows us to really enhance the impact that we're having. Because I like to say, if you plant a tree along a creek, that tree is going to grow one day, it's going to drop seeds. And then those seeds have an entire corridor to spread their benefits downstream. And so what this is also doing is it's preventing erosion control, enhancing biodiversity, improving water quality, improving air quality, all of these myriad of benefits. And then on top of that, you have the carbon crediting program, which, in and of itself has so many inherent values when we're thinking about the battles that we're all facing, as humanity trying to combat climate change. And then that also, through carbon crediting, becomes a really powerful mechanism for us to continue this programming, allow these services that we're doing for landowners to remain free. Because through planting these properties, we're growing tree canopy. That tree canopy is sequestering carbon within the above ground biomass, a little bit in the below ground biomass also. We register those areas for carbon crediting. We verify them using a pretty stringent or strict, satellite imagery verification process that we do over many years to make sure that those trees that we're planting are growing. And then the sale of those carbon credits then goes directly back into our programming, which allows us to sequester more carbon and get all of those other attendant co-benefits.
Will you tell us some more about the co-benefits? You talked already a little bit, I think you hinted at a couple of them, but will you tell us the full scale of it, and especially because the way you're planting around riparian ecosystems? It'd be really interesting to hear more about that.
Of course. So the carbon credit registry that we work with is called City Forest Credits. They're a fantastic organization. They're based out of Seattle. And they have actually, in collaboration with the scientists that they work with, come up with a way to quantify some specific co-benefits. Those are rainwater interception or rainfall interception that comes in. It allows it, it helps us regenerate our aquifers, which is so important here in Texas. Another one is air quality. They've gone out and they've quantified the mass of volatile organic compounds and all this other kind of particulate matter that trees go out and help filter out of our air, make the air healthier for everyone to breathe. And then they've given a value to that. And then in addition, the partners that we work the closest with is Austin Energy. Not on this program specifically, but on some of our other programming. They are the funders for the program that gives trees to neighborhoods because, anyone who's been outside on a hot summer day in Texas or otherwise knows that under a tree is the place to be. And so our bodies know that, but our houses also know that, because our energy bills get hiked up when we're in areas without canopy cover. And so if we're thinking about pure, energy savings from heating, the costs from heating and cooling, because trees also help insulate against the winter, the harshest winter weather, then that has a measurable quantified benefit in terms of the money, the dollars that we would be putting otherwise into heating or cooling our houses, which in Austin is generally, and probably Texas at large, is generally, we're getting that energy in a large part from natural gas. So that's just another way that we're also contributing to climate resiliency, decarbonizing life in Central Texas.
Val, do you have something to add to that?
Gosh, she said all the great stuff already. But yeah, I guess I could add that one of the co-benefits is not quantified is benefits to wildlife. And hope maybe one day somebody will quantify that piece for us. Yeah, just by planting along these creeks and streams and anywhere, whether it's in the city or not, it's really providing habitat for lots of different types of wildlife. If it's along a creek or a stream, and let's say that we are able to one day reforest every single stretch of creek and stream in Central Texas, we would have so many amazing wildlife corridors for all types of aquatic and land wildlife to travel through, to feed from, to shelter in, and all those good things.
Yeah. Along with what Val was saying, it's such an important, I don't know, I think that it's one of the best bang for your bucks that you can be doing in terms of ecological restoration in Central Texas, because, obviously, not all of Texas is meant to be a forest. We know this. You go further out west, that's not a forest. But anywhere that there's a creek or a stream, these riparian areas, the natural state of those places is that they are forested landscapes, at least directly abutting the streams. And, with a buffer zone outside of that. And the general land history in Texas is so heavily tied in with agriculture and ranching and then also, recreationally, people love being along these creeks and streams. And so a lot of these areas, either through agriculture or ranching or through, private landowners wanting to have a beautiful lawn right in front of their view of the creek, a lot of these landscapes are just shorn all the way up to the riverbed, essentially, which does not allow any time for pollutants to be filtered out before they get into the water. It also makes the water so much hotter. If you're a fish, you're going to want to be hanging out. Any fisherman can tell you want to be fishing, in a shady part of the river, not in the, the dead smack middle where everything is 15 degrees hotter underwater than elsewhere. And so that's a really important way to address improving biodiversity. And while it's not quantified right now, how do you really quantify, financially with the dollar value, the importance of biodiversity? But hopefully one day we can kind of figure out at least a framework to do that, because it can really drive investment.
Yeah, and I do want to add to that, part of the birth of this specific program, this actually the City of Austin's Watershed Protection Department did these studies in eastern Travis County. So that's just east of Austin, where the soil type changes to blackland prairie soils instead of the limestone rugged landscape of the West. And so they found that these soft soils were eroding away in so many areas where there weren't forests where there should have been. And like Marina said, because they were cut down for ag and ranching use, for hundreds of years ago. And our soils have just become so compacted that, over the years, over the centuries, that we're really not catching as much of the rainfall as we should be. And these creeks are just eroding away very quickly, easily. So we're hoping to reverse that. So this was kind of born as a pre-disaster program. We're trying to build resiliency in the landscape, create areas for these floodwaters to go when they do. When we do rain, we're in Texas, so when it rains, and then it doesn't rain for another 6 months. But since rivers are dynamic, they're always finding new pathways if they need to. They're always changing course. Well, maybe not in the course of our own lifetimes, but over millions of years. So the more space that we allow rivers to be a river, then, the healthier they're going to be, and the less people's homes or different types of infrastructure will be affected by the bigger floods that do happen occasionally.
I think about Central Texas, most of the time I think about, it's in drought, but you're right that when it does rain, boy, does it rain. And it's almost too much water in too short of a time, right? And so, like you said, these areas will just allow us to be more resilient and also at the same time recharge the aquifers that we're always so worried about. Like, are we going to have enough water for everything that we need, everyone that needs water in the long term? Water is a huge, huge issue in Texas, especially Central Texas and West Texas, a huge issue.
And Marina touched on a point of having the trees and also the grasses, natural native grasses, the buffers along the creeks, but just to like filter the rainwater as it does come through, but it also allowing it to infiltrate so that we do refill our aquifers. And like she said, it's not just washing off the landscape and going directly to the ocean instead of helping us out for drinking water and everything.
I wanted to ask you, Marina, I think you had mentioned that was it 96% or 97% of the land in Texas is private. When you're talking to landowners about what you want to do about this program, are they typically familiar with all the co-benefits? And I mean, of course, everyone can understand how beautiful trees are and how it just beautifies your property, but are they typically familiar with the benefits to the environment and also the wildlife and maybe perhaps even the broader community?
I'd say it's about half and half. All of them are aware of some degree of the co-benefits. Some of them, I mean, a lot of people that we work with have, backgrounds in hunting. And so they understand the benefits of trees for, their turkeys that they want to be hunting and things like that. Or a lot of landowners that we work with are also apiarists. So they keep bees. And so they want us to be planting trees that, are good pollinator species and flower. And so each of these landowners has a different priority for their landscape, but all of them recognize kind of the inherent value of a tree. And then a big part of our programming is that additional educational component where we're coming in, we're saying, yes, they're great for bees. Yes, they're great for turkey, but also your house, hopefully, is going to be a little bit cooler if they live closer to the urban environment, because a lot of them live further out in more rural areas. By planting trees, they're helping reduce the urban heat island effect. A lot of these landowners, like Val was mentioning, are seeing their creekside areas just get washed away. They're literally losing their land year by year to the river. And so us explaining to them that by planting trees, having age diversity of these trees and grasses is literally shoring their banks, stabilizing it. That's something that people are really compelled by. I like to think of this one story with this man that I met once. We were out tabling at an event, just trying to spread the word. And he walked up to me and he's like, I don't really know how I feel about all this climate change hooey. I don't think I believe in it. Gosh darn it. I love trees. And I was like, all right, well, we can talk about that. It's about finding pathways for conversation because no one is going to tell you that they don't like trees. I don't know. I would really have to rack my brain to find someone that didn't. And so, especially in this extremely, polarized environment, I mean, we're in Texas. That says a lot in and of itself. I have found that trees can be a great, connection point that can get anyone talking, can start conversations about the environment, can start conversations about climate resiliency. And we love talking the ears off of anyone who's willing to hear, if you haven't been able to notice already. But yeah.
Yeah, great point, Marina. I love that trees can, just bridge any divisive barriers that exist.
What are some ways for any listeners who are interested about how they can get involved in your work, how they can support your work, whether they're in Central Texas or not? Give us some ideas.
Yeah, so many ways. Okay, so first of all, I guess the easiest thing you can do is if you live in within the city of Austin, you're an Austin Energy customer. Now's the time where started all our events. It's planting season, so you can come and pick up a free 5-gallon tree from an event. We have several throughout the season until late February or early March, maybe. You can go to our website and look up where we'll be next at treefolks.org. You can also come out and volunteer to plant some trees with us. We just kicked off our planting season, like I said, a couple weeks ago. And so we've got tons of events there. We've got weekly nursery events if you want to come get your hands dirty, help sort seeds, plant seeds, build infrastructure because it's still very new and expanding. you can donate. You can always give us money. We are a nonprofit. We are setting up a way for people to be able to purchase carbon credits as individuals. So if you're interested in that, keep your ears peeled. More to come on that soon.
Yeah, and you can find all of that information about how to get involved or donate or buy carbon credits at our website. It's pretty easy. www.treefolks.org, FOLKS, because we're trees and we're people. And like Val was mentioning, we're trying to currently get up and running a way for, any individual to buy our carbon credits. Because I know that it's hard to parse out what is quality. And, it's a tricky kind of ephemeral world right now, especially since it's kind of in its adolescent years in terms of, the market that exists. So feel free to reach out to us. We would love to chat anytime about our program, about our verification methodologies. If you run a small business, we would love to partner with you. If you and your team are going on a trip, you're traveling to a conference or something, you can reach out to us. Hopefully we can try to figure something out. And then know that not only are you working to doing the carbon offsets, but also you have all of these other attendant co-benefits like we talked about before. You'll be improving biodiversity. You'll be helping improve our aquifers. You'll be making the air cleaner for everyone. All of those other myriad things.
Yeah, and I forgot to make a plug for our own program. If you do own land in Central Texas, with Travis or any county that touches Travis County, and you're interested in our program, you can also go to our website, fill out the application, or email us and find out more. If you want to learn more about the program, or if you're not quite sure if you qualify.
And just a brief review of those things that you'd be getting if you participate in our program. You'll be getting, depending on the size, thousands of free trees, free saplings that we'll plant on your property. Lots of different species. We're not just planting monocultures here, okay? We're trying to plant a bunch of different species. We also do native grass seeding. We've been doing native grass and wildflower seeding for the last couple of years. And we're also doing woody seeding. So we're planting trees and we're also planting tree seeds. And so we're really trying to take a whole ecosystem approach to helping people restore their land. So if you're interested, reach out.
Is there a minimum number of acres that they must have to participate in their program? I guess just so otherwise everyone.
That's true.
Otherwise, I think everyone who owns like a house is going to be emailing you. But is there a minimum
it's half an acre?
Okay,
half an acre of planting area. That is, if you have maybe an acre, or I don't know, if you're willing to plant trees on half of that acre, then you would qualify. Or if you have smaller parcels and you have a lot of neighbors that want to participate as well, and if you make at least half an acre out of that, we'll talk to you. We'll talk to you anyways, but you'll be considered for the program.
And then another great tool is HOAs. We love working with HOAs to get those public spaces planted. So if you don't specifically have, you have a small backyard, but your HOA, has land in the floodplain that isn't open for development, you can reach out to your HOA board members and have them reach out to us. That can work. Or if you live in a small town, a lot of the time we work with, this is public land. This is the 4% that we were talking about, but we also love working with, public land whenever we get the opportunity to. So if you're a small municipality and would love to, try to work on improving the butterfly zone in your park or any sort of thing like that, you can also reach out to us and we would love to chat.
Awesome. It sounds like basically if you have a decent amount of land and you're interested, just go to the website, fill out the form, and then have a conversation to figure out what next steps might be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Valerie, Marina, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. This has been wonderful, and for all the good work you're doing in Central Texas as well. It's really fun to learn about the ecosystem restoration, just the broader benefits, and what is interesting to think about the climate, like sequestering all that carbon, but also just adapting to this ever-changing climate that we have and helping the area adapt. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Oh, our pleasure.
Whether you're a seasoned ESG practitioner or embarking on your sustainability journey, ESG Decoded is your trusted source for inspiration and actionable insights for responsible business practices. New episodes drop bi-weekly on Tuesday mornings. Make sure to subscribe on your favorite streaming platforms to be notified, and connect with us at ESG Decoded on social media or by visiting ClimeCo.com.